It's another beautiful morning. It's another beautiful morning. A good day to actually be reviewing some newspaper with you. Newspaper headlines touching from technology to science, education, infrastructure, and entrepreneurship. Any other thing you could think of. As far as it's driving on the lips of Nigerians, it matters to us. But before we'll be diving into our newspaper headline, we'll be going on a very, very quick and very nice short break. Do stay tuned as we'll be coming back. Welcome back from that quick short break. Let's dive into our newspaper review directly. We'll be looking at the Guardian front page newspaper where we see that Alusa moves to resolve ASU crisis as federal government meets union today in page 3. And in that same page, we see that Tinubu justifies bitter appeals of reform and loud citizen patience. And also in page 7, we see that Ondo joint states banning graduation ceremony in nursery and junior secondary schools. And the big headline in page 6, we see that how winning funding legal aid keep 53,460 pre-trial inmates in jail. And beneath it, we see that Igbo leaders demanding binding of the more of 2027 support as APGA backs Tinubu in page 6. And in page 4, we see that Falana Ezekiwe sues tax lawyer on social economic rights electoral act in page 4. And in page 29, we see that Ganduje faces fresh probe over alleged sales of public property. Also in page 4, we see the tariff hike cuts 2.4 million off internet amid soaring data consumption. And moving to the newspaper, the Nation newspaper front page, we see that the federal government ASU talks raise truce hope in page 4. And in page 2, we see I have opted out of 2027 race in party interest, says Bala. And in page 4, we see that Ondo bans graduation of primary schools and JS3 pupils in page 5. And in page 4, we see that 104,000 minimum wage excites IMO workers. The big headline, we see that 2027, why Jonathan won't return. Ex-president won't allow disruptions of South solidarity. Beneath it, we see that judiciary is on trial, says FHC chief judge. We also see emerging economic models are goals. President assures Nigerians. And the next newspaper front page we'll be looking at is the Vanguard newspaper front page, where we see that 2027 presidency zoning causes rampants, PDP intensifies move to woo Jonathan. We also see above that same headline that Jonathan slams defection, seeks electoral reforms in page 9. And in that same page, we see that federal government also meets today. Alusa leads push to resolve issue. And in page 11, that Ozodima raises minimum wage to 104,000 IMO workers jubilate. Beneath it, we see that 762 Nigerians killed by kidnappers in 1 year. Report has come out to say in page 8. We also see that 2026 WCQ Super Eagles will prove doubters wrong. Chile has come out to say. And we see that voters apathy aid bad leaders can warns Nigerians in page 13. On page 7, we see await full briefing on Abuja Kaduna train disaster. Tinubu has come out to say. Also, we see that 2027, our presidential ticket is open despite endorsing Tinubu. APC has come out to say in page 9. Before we continue our newspaper review, we want to say a big welcome to our guest who is around, Barrister Damisi Adenikinju. Very welcome to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, sir, for always making yourself available, like I would always say. Okay, so on this particular, because I had to welcome you on this particular headline, presidential ticket open despite endorsing Tinubu. APC has come out to say. It's a funny one, right? It is. It's like they're scared already.
Say that the presidential ticket is open.
It's now open.
But you are endorsing the president for, who wants to contest against the president? Who will actually come out to contest against the president for the APC ticket? I don't think anybody will come out to contest against the president for the APC ticket. I just feel they'll say it's open, but you dare not come out. Or maybe maybe one or two persons that are just fringe candidates, so that they'll make it feel like, oh, democracy is in action.
That's what I wanted to ask. That's what I wanted to ask, because so that doesn't look like they are putting out one person. Are they doing this just to paint an act of democracy?
No,
so that it doesn't look like we're pushing one person who is the president. So
no, it's an act. It's just an act to just maybe push the president and say, oh, it's not that we impose the president on anybody. But at least he contested against some persons.
And nobody came out.
Nobody came out.
Or somebody came out.
But we see the president is our choice. Yes. Because definitely we all know that the APC presidential ticket candidate is going to be the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So we already have a candidate for the next elections. Now, Atiku has also come out to say he's going to contest. So it's the other political parties who their candidates will be that we have to now look forward to. That's it. But the APC saying that it's still open. It's just
like I said, it was a very funny one when I saw it. It was. Okay, moving to the next newspaper front page is the Daily Times newspaper. We see that in page 19, train derailment. We can't dismiss any lead or peer fact has come out to say. The big headline is 239 first-class lecturers quits the Unilag over poor pay. Ex-vice reveals in page 10. That story, we see that Oluwatoyin Agundipe, former Vice President Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Unilag, revealed that the last 239 first-class graduates recruited as lecturers left the institution within 7 years due to the low salaries and poor working conditions. Speaking at a forum in Lagos, Ogundipe said Unilag retained 256 first-class graduates between 2015 and 2022, but by October 2023, only 17 remained. He attributed the mass exodus to inadequate remuneration, lack of motivation, and unfulfilled federal government promises to university staff. He also warned that if this reform is not implemented, university may increasingly admit poor, unprepared graduate students to face gender imbalance and experience declining academic standard. He highlighted that the daily struggle of younger lecturers, noting the issue of such is a lack of electricity and insufficient government support, which can actually reduce professionalism and personal life in view. Like when I was reading this, we've always spoken about salary not paid in full. We've spoken about salary not paid at all. The federal government owing their workers. We've looked at salary not being increased. And the funny thing about the whole situation is that food is increasing every day. So we can understand from their own point of view. These are people that are just starting life. Students that just graduated with first class and they are being kept as lecturers to teach other people. Yes, it's a good idea. Yes, they want to pass their knowledge to other people. But these are people that are just starting life. People who have not really walked into the labor market. And walking into the labor market, you're being owed. You're not being paid in full. You're not being paid well. You're not being catered for. And you're working for the federal government. When I used to hear federal government workers, I used to always think that these people were taken good care of by the federal government. But it now looks like private workers are even more taken care of than federal government workers itself.
It's a shame really that our government can't afford to pay lecturers well.
Yeah.
Even in this day and age where people are talking about innovation, people are talking about and who is going to lead this innovation? People that actually pass this knowledge down to the younger generation, and you're owing them salaries. And the irony of it, let me see, is that the federal government is thinking of increasing their own pay. The presidency is thinking of increasing his own pay. Ministers are thinking of increasing
their own pay.
But you see lecturers that are still struggling to fine-tune themselves. Another issue that I want to raise is this academic flight. We spoke about it, was it yesterday or the day before, talking about the people that are actually good knowledgeable in a particular field. They are living for other countries for better standard of living, better life. And we need to find a way to address that situation. If we want to be innovative as a nation, if we want to have technology, if we want to be able to carry out better research, we need to make sure that the people that are experts or knowledgeable in a particular field in various sectors and all of that are in Nigeria. They don't have any reason to want to go abroad. We are talking about these lecturers now. Most of them are saying they want to live for greener pastures in outside the country. I was shocked one day when they said Saudi Arabia. They were in Nigeria to take some of our experts to Saudi Arabia, and some of our experts who are in the medical field, they left because they said, there is better pay here. And these are some of the issues that the government needs to address. If lecturers are complaining that you are not paying them adequately, look into it and let them be paid adequately. Like you made mention of inflation. The price of food is going up. Transportation is up.
Housing itself is something else.
So you can't really blame them for saying they want to quit and they want to take their expertise somewhere else. Because a man must live before he can. I must see food to eat. I don't want to struggle for the basic needs and necessities of life. So the federal government needs to look at these lecturers, not just the lecturers in the University of Lagos, but lecturers across all tertiary institutions, public tertiary institutions, to see that they are well taken care of.
Yes, this is quite concerning. Losing such amount of lecturers in the higher institutional educational system courses, it just shows that the brain drain has eaten up our educational system in large portion. It affects the quality of teaching, the research, the innovation we are speaking about, and in turn it can actually undermine the country's long-term development. Like I said, the development is, for goodness sake, I do not even know how to put it. If you do not have capable hands teaching your next generation, development will reduce. If we're recording 157 first-class students graduating this year, if they are not good lecturers to be there to teach the next people, then I will see that the numbers will be reducing yearly. And that brings us to what I think we were talking about it. I don't know if it was here or we were talking about it on the Idea Morning Digest. That's why we keep hearing this set of students are worse than the last set. and you keep hearing they are getting worse instead of getting better. Things are getting better in the country. Educational system are being made easy. So we are supposed to be seeing better generation coming up from when it comes to education, especially education. We are supposed to be seeing better generation of students coming up. And this is what leads to better generation of leaders. This is what leads to better generation of CEOs, owners of entrepreneur businesses and all of that. This is what leads to better generation of the whole agriculture we're talking about, the whole political system we're talking about. When it comes to everyone, it is from this that we get those better generations. And if the educational system will fail,
then
what's the future without education? You cannot give what you do not have. So you can't expect them to come out of that school not being taught well and expect them to give what they do not have. They can't definitely do that. But if we are seeing that the lecturers who are even teaching them are not even up to the standard, the ones that are up to the standard are running away. Then the ones that they know that they cannot even run because of course the rest of the news would remain and want to teach those students. Those students, it's actually alarming. It's brain draining and it's eating up our educational system. And I just ask that and pray that the government actually look into this, like you said, beyond increasing the salaries of the federal government, presidency and their governors. Let's look into increasing the pay of federal government workers. They are being taken good care of. This is what increased patriotism in the country. Instead of running out and looking for greener pastures in other countries, seeing that it's better than your own home. Like the same would always say, there's no place like home. But if home would give you terror,
you definitely want to find
of course you would
peace somewhere else.
You would want to find peace somewhere else. If home would bring poverty and hunger, we would want to look for food, like you said, greener pastures somewhere else. So the federal government, please do look into it so that this will not actually eat into our systematic issues concerning education. Moving to Tribune newspaper front page, we see that the Tribune newspaper front page, in fact, this particular story actually is one of the stories that's actually got my attention. The China boosts Nigerian flood relief efforts with $1 million. These are the kind of stories we actually want to hear, but like you said, we do not want to keep depending. But let's read the main story. So we see that the Nigerian government has secured a $1 million grant from China to support ongoing flood relief efforts in North Nigeria. The exchange of notes agreement was signed in Abuja and preceded over by the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, who described it as aid as timely invention, for community affected by the recent flood. The ministry, together with the relevant agencies, will ensure the transparency and effectiveness use of the funds with a joint monitoring mechanism involving the Chinese embassy. We always speak about grants. We always talk about loans and the effective use of those money. Now they are involving an external body to actually make sure that those funds are not misused.
It's a good one, involving an external body to make sure that the funds are not misused. You know,
and they're used for what
we've always preached accountability in the government circle here. You know, let the government be accountable for the monies that they received to the people. You know, so let the monies not be spent for other things. You know, when you take money, maybe China gives you $1 million rather than using it for the flood relief now, or the what it's meant to be used for, you go use the money for something else. You know, so it's good that they get an external body to actually follow the funds and make sure that it is used for what it's meant to be used for. But like me, I always say, we as a nation, we shouldn't always rely on aid. I don't like when Nigeria relies solely on living on aid of other countries. Of course, when crisis comes, you know, even in America, even in the Western world, maybe if there is an earthquake, a natural disaster, or human-made disaster, you always see countries, friendly nations want to support, it's a good thing, but it's not, they are doing it as a form of support, not as a form of, oh, let us pull this one, you know, giving us $1 million, it's a good thing, you know, but when they see you as you are an aid-reliant nation, like without, You know, it's just like a family member. When you have a family member that always needs aid or is always asking you for money, the person will become like a nuisance to you, and you'll be tired of that kind of person. You get? So Nigeria we are too big to be relying on aid and just be living on aid. You know, you get? So let us move beyond that. Also, I must commend the Chinese government. China is one country that that always seems to want to come to the aid of Africa and Nigeria, you know, in terms of our infrastructure, in terms of supporting us and all of that. Yeah. So it's a good one from the Chinese. Hopefully our government, with the external body now that is monitoring the funds, we're accountable for these funds that is being given to us, and it is being used for what is meant to be used for, which is the flood victims and the flood relief and all of that. Mm.
In other headlines, health, paracetamol, ibuprofen, quietly fueling antibiotic resistance, evolving global health problem. Study has come out to say in page 4, and in page 3, the TUC president has come out to say that 56% of Nigerians are living below poverty line. Let's just move. Let's just leave it. Yes. In page 3, we see that Nigerian loses 455 billion naira annually to poor sanitation. We also see in that same page that Ondo government bans the elaborate graduation ceremony of nursery and GSS pupils. I actually read this headline in another front page, and I wanted you to put a word out for this particular headline. So they are trying to ban the graduation ceremony of nursery school pupils and GSS students. Mm. Is it that they do not see the need for it, or what are we trying to do?
I'm even thinking, is it just in federal schools? You know, the thing is, Nigeria, we are a country that loves celebration. You know, any small thing, you know, when
and of all states, the Ondo state.
The Ondo state.
The harbors of celebration.
You know. So when you hear that the government is banning celebration, is it really a priority? Should it be a priority? I don't know. Maybe they have their own reasoning for wanting to ban knows that maybe you are still too young to be celebrating your graduation and but for me personally, I feel like any milestone calls for celebration. If my child finishes from nursery school, I want my child to be in a graduation gown and wear a nursery school gown and celebrate. If he finishes from secondary school, let him. It doesn't have to be lavish. Maybe they are trying to cut costs. Maybe they feel like they will be spending a lot of money and trying to reduce but it's not in a country that has that a lot of people die at a young age. A lot of people don't even go to school. You know how many out of school children we have in Nigeria
that will stop at that
GS class, you know. So you finishing from GSS 3 or even SS 3, it's cause for celebration. Please don't let people stop celebrating. Let us celebrate.
Those are all milestones, like you said. It's a milestone. It's worth celebrating.
It's worth celebrating.
There are celebrations that can be done on low-key, but celebration matters a lot. And you know the funny thing about this whole graduation thing? It's still us that end up, because my own primary school graduation gown the contribution came from my parents' pockets. My JSS graduation, the money came for my graduation gown because they didn't even really give us rice or anything, but the money came